Actually, we are up to 22 copycats, so almost 24 additional suits now. So yeah, I think what's fascinating here, Chase, is as you said, they've named the big players as well as the National Association of Realtors, but now they're also coming after smaller players. You know, for example, they named Equity Real Estate, Realty Path, and Windermere Real Estate Services was also named in this one. So you know they're just looking again. Where can we go find some money? I think is how this shows up. It's going to be interesting to see what ultimately happens here with regards to settlements. And I think ultimately that's what these attorneys are trying to do, is get in line at the trough, so to speak, to get a settlement.
I would say that the overall inventory levels are still the main driver of price appreciation, right? You've just got more buyers given the rates than we have sellers. And that typically, tends to have an upward push on prices. And we've seen that happen for quite some time now. And even despite some of the challenges and headwinds in the markets, overall, in a lot of markets, prices have either held firm or continued to rise, as we're seeing here, right? Not in all of them, but in 86% of the 221 they measured. That's a pretty big number. I think that what that means is, of course, homeowners are continuing to build more equity. And we've talked on this program a lot about the importance of homeownership and the pursuit of building wealth, as Americans. And then also on the other side of that coin, Bruce, is the affordability challenge that can create for some trying to get in the game of homeownership.
This week, inventory fell by 0.5%, whereas a year ago, it fell by 3% in the same week. So new listings each week, which, by the way, last year was a record low number. Mm-hmm. Right. So we're sort of like looking at the bottom. So anything that we see now, it seems to be like, oh, good news. We're going up. We're going up. So, but we are seeing more inventory coming on the market. What are your thoughts about this?
Well, again, Bruce, like any news and increased inventory, I think at this rate is welcome news, but it's so small. It's not moving the needle a lot. Again, we'll take it. So thank you. And we need a lot more inventory for it to really have an impact, certainly on pricing. I think the challenge there is, even though as it quotes, right, that these sellers are gradually easing, those are two very slow words put together back into the market. We could use a lot more sellers coming into the market. Here's the challenge. We know, because we look at the numbers, that the number of sellers that have a current mortgage rate that's dramatically lower than where mortgage rates are today is part of the problem, right? We've reported that on this podcast. So them going down a little bit isn't enough to really push a whole bunch of sellers into saying, okay, now I can take advantage of the equity I've built in my house and I can trade for something else, either across or up slightly or whatever, for a mortgage rate that feels palatable. And by the way, a mortgage payment that feels palatable.